record. Okay. We are recording right now, and I am here with Nat. Now, of course, after I hit start, I confirmed the first but not the last name. So let's see if I can do this. Is it Ocello or Ocello?
Ocello. Well, both are correct, but yeah.
I had it right then. Nat Ocello.
Mm-hmm.
And we have Fern as well, who some viewers may have seen before, since Fern is not part of the Axe Wound, has been part of the Axe Wound team. And Nat is behind the scenes being pulled in to being part of the team. So welcome to this weird universe that you're in that has teeth and gumballs and meat and blood. First thing I wanted to say is that I find that there should be a comic called Big Bitch and Juice Girl. And that's because both of your trailers, when I was typing that, I'm like, come on, Big Bitch and Juice Girl, that's like just asking to be a comic.
That sounds like a perfect dynamic duo.
It really does. And so what I wanted to start with is actually showing both of your trailers. And then because I don't know how copyright works with this, I want to show a clip of the original trailer for Attack of the 50-Foot Woman. I'm just going to show like the first 30 seconds of it first before we even show Big Bitch. And then I'm going to show, I think I'm just going to show all the content up front, and then we can sort of reference it as we go so that you both have a sense of what you're, I think Fern is more aware of Nat's work than vice versa, because you were there for the behind the scenes stuff. So now let us do that with this very cumbersome software that makes it like take a million seconds to go from clip to clip. So we're going to pretend that we're fancy, but we have a sitcom crowd with us. So that helps. All right, so to begin with, let's show the very beginning. I'm going to say the first 30 seconds of the Attack of the 50-Foot Woman trailer.
Once a normal, voluptuously beautiful woman, she drove into a nightmare of horror and saw descending from the sky a titanic monster whose fearsome touch became a frightful curse.
So we get the point there. And now I'm going to show Big Bitch right now. I just love it. I love it so fucking much. Just when you submitted that, it was like my life was happy for a second. Okay,
you.
and then the same goes. Now we're going to go to Fern, and it's going to be a different. But Fern, do I have permission to show two things? Yes.
Just show the first one.
Juice Girl.
Yeah, just show
Okay.
Juice Girl.
footage is like the Fern footage is such a good name. Like I can't get over how cool Fern footage
Thank you.
is. Now I think the main difference between both of your projects is one of them is a fake trailer and one of them maybe is a real trailer, but we haven't talked about it. But I think they both also were born out of something I want to talk about with you. And I'm going to put up this is really funny not having a producer and going like, you know how on the news when it's like right away things like show up and I'm like, right now is when things would be showing up. You have to watch me scroll. This is the concept, first of all, I was just thinking about is intentional creative experimentation is courageous. And that comes from wanting to talk about the fact that both of these were started without a clear, like purposefully as an experiment for something, but unsure maybe where or how or why or what. And I could be wrong, but I would love if each of you would first just, so what's the best order? Maybe I shouldn't have showed them both at once. I'm trying to think the best order. Maybe let's start with Nat because we showed Nat's first. Talk about the inspiration. Obviously, I could be wrong, and it has nothing to do with Attack of the 50-Foot Woman. I do know you bought a pair of shoes. That's about. So just talk us through the beginnings of this.
Yeah, for sure. So I actually had never heard of Attack of the 50-Foot Woman until after I made the trailer, and I had literally
Stop
yeah,
it.
I
No.
really had
Are you being
no
serious?
idea. I'm so serious. I had no idea
You
that was
swear? You swear?
I crossed my heart. I literally went to the thrift store, found these massive shoes, and I was like wearing them. I was like, I could probably like kill someone with these. Like these are massive, and I'm only 5 feet tall, so they made me like 5'7" in average height. And then I was like, um, I was making this project for a class and it was literally due, I think, like, the next day or 2 or something, and I put them on and I was just like, "Well, what if I literally built a city around me and made myself an actual giant and
What?
stayed up all night and built a city out of cardboard and paint?"
So, okay, I have so many questions. But first of all, you just based on what you said, and this is highly personal, so do not I am not expecting any facial giveaway or I just have to put it out there. A lot of the people who work with Axwood have ADD and we work really well at the last minute. So when you said that you did it at the last minute and it's so good, my first thought was, I wonder if you have ADD.
I have severe ADHD. Yes.
Okay, so this is
Yeah.
like Axwound is like so tuned into those with ADHD because
I love that.
that's great. Okay, sorry, I could have. I'm glad that you weren't offended by my question.
No, not at all.
It's just it was just like so on the money.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so hold the hell on a second. What the fuck? I need to process this because did you, Fern? Are you shocked?
I'm not shocked. I mean, like I knew about Attack of the 50-Foot Woman, but also like
But the sound effects. I mean,
I don't know, like some yeah, like it
look.
was like they're so similar, but like
Just watch this. It goes on with like her literally with her long legs like walking through the city picking up cars, and you have the opening of yours. Vibe, the black and white, the oh my God, I almost wondered if you had taken the audio from it.
Oh
So
my
was that where the audio? I'm sorry, this is so fascinating to me.
Oh yeah, no. My professor literally commented like, "Wow, this is very Attack of the 50-Foot Woman." And I was like, I looked it up and I was like, I hope they don't think that I just plagiarized this classic
No, in
film that
fact, I thought
everybody
it was.
knows about.
No, I thought of the opposite. I thought that you were doing like a brilliant commentary on
Oh,
it.
thank you. Wow, thank you.
I mean, it's still great and
Thank
brilliant, but
you.
it's just really amazing to me. I had no idea. That's so
Yeah.
fascinating.
But to your last question, I got all of my sound and sound effects music from freesound.org. Yeah, it's a
Interesting.
great, like, it's a great website. All you have to do is, create an account and then you can make playlists of whatever you want and then just double check and read, like, the license on them because some of
Yep.
them will say, like, "Make sure you give me credit," or "Email me beforehand, I'd like a donation," but, yeah, other than that or there are a lot that just say, like, "Use it however you want, don't give me credit,
That's
give me
really
credit, I
cool.
don't care." Yeah, it's a great website. It
So,
looks sketchy, but it does not give you viruses. I've used it. I've been using it for, like, 4 or 5 years now, like, it looks
oh, good
really
to know.
sketchy.
I'll put it in our resources list that we're gonna
Yes.
make. So the Hannah burp counter is at 2 now. Um, so then this totally alters questions that I had in a fascinating way, but I do want to get to Fern, but I just want to stick with this for a second. Especially, I don't know if you saw, like, the cover even of Attack of the
My
Woman.
friend got
Back,
me a poster of that for my birthday after because
I
Big Bitch, like,
love
became
it.
my identity after I made this, so
I love it. I just love it, and I'm wondering if you could talk about, since it wasn't based off of that, what what was the you had these shoes, you had a project due. You're an animator. You have fingernails that are made of aluminum foil,
tinfoil, yeah.
tinfoil,
Mhm.
and everything about it is controlling your environment and it's about, you know, being, I think, in control of your environment.
Mhm. Yes. And
Yeah, so can you
just,
talk
like
about that?
so when I was making this, it was definitely in a time where I felt very out of control with my life. I just had like it was completely online classes and I was struggling to focus in that and then I was living with a bad roommate situation and I was just like everything was kind of spiraling and so I but when I put on the shoes, like, I just, like, felt so much taller and, like, higher up than all of my problems, like, literally, and so I just kind of thought that it would be fun if I could, make my own world by because at this time, I also discovered that I loved painting, so I was like,
Oh,
"I'm going to paint a city and, like, just kind of paint my own universe where I am the biggest, baddest bitch ever, and, like, I'm just gonna do whatever I want in this city," and, when I was it was a very like, going back to what you were saying before, just kind of, like, it just kind of came together as I was making it, and
mm,
it just felt really fun and really good, and also the tinfoil nails, that was inspired by Lady Gaga from, the American Horror Story because she had, like, that silver pointy
that's
nail
right.
and
That's right.
yeah, and also when I looked at those shoes I love Lady Gaga, so when I put them on, I was like, "I feel like Lady Gaga right now," and yeah.
They are very Gaga-esque, I will say. They're very cool shoes.
Thank
I
you.
I just think that it's so fascinating that, I mean, I don't know, this is gonna be blowing my mind for a while. I think it's great. And so where are you at in terms of its existence as a fake trailer? Do you think it's gonna stay that way, or do you have any plans of doing anything with this concept?
So, over the summer, I think I made that in the spring of 2021, and then, or the fall, one of the two. But then that summer, I actually continued the film, but, and also I was working at a film lab at the time, so I shot it on film and like was getting all
Oh,
of
okay.
the stuff done at my job and stuff, and I was very set on it being stop motion, but then also me being in motion kind of thing, just because I wanted to play around with that. But it was, and I edited it all together and I reshot so many things, but then the story was not making sense without dialogue. So, what I'm thinking about doing is doing kind of like a Princess Bride moment where it's like we see it happening, and then once I need to the parts that I need to fill in, I'll have it cut to a cartoon of like either a mom telling a horror story to her daughter or like
Oh.
kids sitting around a fire being like, "This is the story of Big Bitch," kind of thing, but, like, in my head, I have the first cut is gonna be like, "Wait, that doesn't make any sense. Why would she do that?" Or something like that, and then it cuts to yeah,
Oh, interesting. Because
yeah.
yeah, it's
I
interesting
really
you
do want
referenced
it to
that.
become a full, short, though. I don't want it to just stay a trailer.
Yeah. Well, I was also I'm always thinking about ways that Axwound can incorporate, like, bumpers in, like, through horror hosts or through just weird creativity stuff, and I was like, "Man, Big Bitch, like, should just show up all the time and
Mm.
destroying things."
I
Um,
would love
so
that.
I don't know if you know this because we're talking about Discord, but during the festival, we actually named the bot Big Bitch, and
Oh
it
my
was
gosh!
your legs were with the shoes were there. It was Big Bitch Bot. Um,
Oh, I love that. Oh
so
my goodness.
Hannah was obsessed.
I was
Hannah, like, I probably like 2 days after you submitted it, I got like an email that was like mostly in all caps, like, watch this right now.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I love it. And and so and so I put up this thing here about the intentional creative experimentation because everything you did was in the moment, on the fly, and I want to talk to Fern about this too because a lot of people who are creating something or are new to putting stuff out publicly, or I mean, I don't want to assume anything about either of your careers. I'm assuming that I'm the only one here in their 40s, but I could be wrong. But I'm assuming maybe you guys are in the same generation.
I'm
Are you guys?
I'm
22.
22.
Oh, okay,
Cool.
yeah, we're the same age.
Hello.
Okay, I had this like feeling that you guys were really close in age, so that's why I was like, it's just really interesting because I think a lot of people who are, I don't know if it's because of like the tools that are available now, but having a phone that can do cool stuff, or back in my day when we didn't have the ability to do that, um, there's this like fear I think people have that if they do something and they're going to make a mistake, and if they make a mistake or they don't know what they're doing when they start, that it's a lost cause and there's no point. And one of the things that I learned from my brother actually when it came to stop playing with stop motion was embrace your mistakes, because that's literally the only way you are going to learn anything is if you make a mistake and then you know what you did and why it was a mistake, rather than someone just telling you don't do it this way. Because if you fuck up and you do it yourself, you actually understand why and can move forward and as a stronger artist and creator. So I think both of your pieces really gave me this sense of bravery with experimenting. So Fern, maybe you could talk about Juice Girl, because we purposefully have not talked about it because I wanted to wait till we were doing something like this. Um, you also both, I think it's Big Bitch and Juice Girl. So we have a bitch and a girl. Okay, so this has to be a comic somehow. So what is Juice Girl, and what was the impetus for it? Like now I was talking about for Big
Well, I don't
Bitch.
know what impetus means, but
Oh my God, maybe I used it wrong. I think impetus
I just
is
don't know what it means.
what kicked it off. Is it what
Oh,
inspired you to, am I right? Can somebody look up impetus? I think I'd
I'm
be
sure you're right.
embarrassing
That's
if I
fine.
used it wrong. But I think it's like what inspired you to make it. Let's put it that way.
Juice Girl started. Oh my gosh, sorry.
No,
Juice Girl.
if you want to think about your answer, I can look up impetus while
Yeah.
because that'll give you a
Look up
second.
impetus right now.
It's not impotent, which is what it wants me to look up. It's impotence. No, it's bringing me to impotence. And why can't I spell it? What word did I say? Now I
Oh
can
no.
only think of impotence.
I don't remember.
This is so funny. Oh, impetus. Impetus. That's weird. Okay, well, this might just be one of those like fun things that will be edited in later. Oh wait, here we go. The meaning of impotence. Haha. Instead, okay. Impotence is a noun, and it's a driving force or impulse, and it's so stimulation or encouragement resulting in increased activity. What was it, the impulse? What was the stimulus that said Juice Girl is a thing, that inspired it?
Gotcha.
Or however
I
you want
went
to
on
answer
a
that.
yeah. I went on a walk to the tennis courts, which is also where the tennis courts on my then college campus, which is also where sometimes people congregate. And someone had left a whole like gallon of Minute Maid out there, and I drank it. And it was good.
You just drank a random
Yeah,
Minute
it was
Maid?
definitely been out there. Like the weekend had been a couple days. It had been in the sun, but
There could have been
it was
piss in
like
there.
no, it was like no one had opened it. I would have drank it
Oh.
either ways. I didn't think about the piss, but who cares?
I love you.
So I drank it, and then as I was walking home, I was like, well, what if something weird was up with the juice? And I then I don't know. It just kind of went on from there, and I was like, well, what if what if something bad happened to me from drinking that juice? What if something really bad happened to me from drinking the juice? Like, what if aliens left that juice for me because they knew I would drink it because I'm an idiot? And then I also had a creative assignment due, so for a class. So one thing led to the other, and I wanted to make a movie about what if I could blame all these problems I can't name on this rancid juice I drank.
Oh, so there actually is kind of a connection in that you both were like had like it was about like things that could be happening to you, or taking control over your environment, or your environment taking control over you. So I hope you didn't get sick.
No, I was fine. It was great.
Okay.
It was a 10 out of 10 experience.
So I'm curious, you have in Juice Girl a lot of hair coming out. You have slime, and you have I think that I don't know, how did you shoot that with the nose? Did you actually put something in your nose and let it, because that makes
Yeah,
my
I made
throat
like
hurt just
green.
thinking about.
Oh, it hurt. I put green corn syrup up my nose and waited till it
Ugh.
dripped out.
Oof.
And I don't
Ow.
know how to use a camera or a light bulb, so I had to do a lot of takes of it. It
I
was
love stories
it
like
was not
that.
a good idea, but
That
it
is
was fun.
serious dedication. Wow.
Yeah. Wow. Well, it looks really good.
It looks
Thank you.
fantastic.
I mean, just so we can like get the most out of this, I just want to just show the opening of the nose that we're talking about in case um just to the only part where it shows, I think, of it like because that's, yeah, that the thing I don't know if you heard the interview. We were talking with Monica Estrella Negra, who has a series of films up right now, and at an actual Axwin Film Festival in person, um, I remember her telling the story of a scene involving, by the grace of God, nobody dying. Then they shot this scene of somebody not really being stabbed in the face, but because of like a marker that hit right. I mean, people in the audience were gasping when Monica was talking about how this, they didn't know what they were really. They were new filmmakers and they wanted to shoot the scene and they were like, okay, I'm going to put the knife through the pillow right here. So your head has to be over to the side, and they practiced and practiced, and then the knife went down. And every time Monica tells this story, I'm like, oh my God. And the actor was all in on it. They were all a go, that nobody was forced into anything.
They didn't just make a fake head.
They all were just like, let's do this. And
That's amazing.
obviously, Monica said this would not be something that would ever happen again on her set, but she did say it speaks to how good of a director she is that she didn't stab somebody in the face. So I take that.
Absolutely.
But it does remind me of when you're experimenting and you're new to doing some things, you actually really don't know or have the resources even to make a fake head, or even think in the moment that, oh, there doesn't need to be a person really under that pillow when I stab it, you know? So, um, I'm just wondering if
I
there's
don't mean to criticize their methods. I'm sure I'm
no, these are not safe methods. These are not safe methods, and Axwoon does not condone these methods, nor would Monica want them to be condoned. It was a very honest answer that I think people can learn from, that you don't need to do that. You can just remove the person and then stab the pillow and then cut to like the feet or something.
Editing's amazing.
Yeah, it's a great film though. So both of you do a lot of different creative things. And I think that's because all of us who I mean, I'm bringing the ADD back. I mean, we just have great brains that want to know everything and do everything, and we can't do everything. But some things we're able to do, and we hone in on and complete, and some things are out there floating. Where are you both, this question, like, I know that Nat, you have like graphics and painting, and um, I don't know if you've done another video film type of a project. Fern, you also do other types of art and writing and stuff as well. So how do you each, maybe you could each answer, how do you define yourself when it comes to being a creative human being? Like, do you say I'm an artist and that's it? Or do you say I'm a filmmaker? Or do you say I work at a coffee shop? I mean, like, because I struggle with this myself as somebody who does a million different things. What do you feel most identified with creatively, I guess, at the moment? And not, I'll say, I'll make this easier on you. At this time in your life, at this point in time, as this interview is happening, And whoever would like to go first can.
Fern, do you wanna go first? I don't care.
I think Fern just did a head shake of no.
No, I do
Oh,
not.
okay,
Your turn.
I can go first. So I think, like, at the moment, it's interesting that you asked this question, like, you saying, like, "Oh, I work at a coffee shop," because I am trying to get into the practice of telling people, like okay, sorry.
No, don't be
I
sorry.
like
Just
to I will just say, like, what I kind of am most attracted to at first. So I'll say that I'm an animator or a video editor, and one thing that I caught myself doing and really tried to stop was saying I want to be an animator or I want to be a film editor kind of thing. And I noticed that because all my classmates were pitching themselves to like when we were networking and stuff, and they would say like, "Oh, I do this," and I noticed that I kept saying, "I want to be this," and I was like, "I already do it, you know, I do that thing." But even now, I'm working at Trader Joe's at the moment, just saving up money, and I noticed that I'll say that before, like, I say I do artistic things, and I'm also trying to get out of the habit of that, but yeah,
yeah.
I think it's difficult because sometimes I'll just say whatever is dominating my time, which right now is Trader Joe's, but then, um, it's kind of just like that's not what I wanna do for the rest of my life, and it's fine for people that do wanna do that, but if
Right.
I'm gonna be telling people who I am and what I do, I want them to know me for right now, at least, my animating, but over my work at Trader Joe's.
I think that's a thing that's an applause because I don't have an applause in there, so that was a substitute applause. Fern, before you answer, I just wanted to say that I think that that's a really key thing what you just said is people have to stop saying I want to be and they have to start saying that I am. And that is a critical thing that seems small but is huge psychologically, and that it's most artists, even the real famous dead classical artists who are now like super famous, like they didn't become that way in their lifetimes. They were
Mhm,
working and poor and like part of society. Nobody saw, they would have probably struggled with the same thing. Like, what am I?
mhm.
So Fern, I mean, how do you feel about that? What's your just gut words?
Yeah, I didn't start like thinking about anything I do as art until the past year, like which was my last year of school because I had to put a name to what I was doing in order to graduate. Uh,
There you
but
go.
I mean, that's kind of dumb because I've been like doing art since I was young. Like I was in a band for like all of high school, like that counts for something. I don't know.
Absolutely, that's
Like
music,
I've
art,
been
music.
a creative person. So um I don't know. I feel most called to video right now though. And I think that's because I just don't know how else I like that words aren't necessarily needed and
Mm.
the things I would like to convey to anyone else, I don't have words for. So
And
video's good for that.
absolutely, and I think that what makes a good filmmaker or video artist is the artist that understands you're showing and not telling. And you always know a movie isn't gonna work when it's like, "Oh, sorry, your mom died, Billy. Yeah, me too." Rather than like show a scene where they're at a funeral and you don't have to actually say, like it's like learning how to show versus tell. And I think that that gives you more freedom too, because we're going to talk about the concept of subjectivity and how people read your art. But I do think I wish I had had time to upload it, and I just remembered that I didn't, do it in time, but there's a behind the scenes image of that you sent me last year with, like, a wall, and it has, like, hair in a bag, and, like was that, like, a mood board, so to speak, or was that part of a project, or was that just, like
Yeah, I was yeah, I my assignments were, like, to show progress, and I was
oh,
making up how to show progress
so it's
for
like show
video
your
shooting,
work kind of
so
thing.
yeah, so it's like, "Here's all the supplies for the goo I'm gonna make, and
I love it.
here's a painting of the void, which I'll try to convey."
That's so
Uh,
funny. 'Cause if you didn't know that, you would think, like, you were doing some ritual or something in your room is how it looks. It's like you've got
I
hair
was,
pasted on your
though, I
wall
totally
and
was.
yeah, it looks beautiful. And also, I want you because we're talking about this, I won't show it if you don't want me to, but I know that you also are involved with theatrical combinations of film and theatrical stuff where there's, like, art, video art projected, and then you're on stage physically. And, I just at some point, we'll have to find a way to bring that to life for people because it looked so cool, and I don't know if that I think that's different than what you sent me. The
Yeah, that is different,
Yeah,
but
um,
yeah.
but so video and animation are both pretty much just different ways of showing and not telling through video. But when you talk about animation, Nat, I noticed that I really wanted to not forget to mention, I was I was all stalking on your website, and I noticed that you had done this killer animation of a tampon, and I think it was for an organization. Probably that was like I wanted you to talk about that because Axe Wounds is um, in 2023 going to ask people to bring donations of tampons and pads and diapers to donate. And I then saw this tampon thing and I'm like, oh, well, I obviously can't steal it. And it's obviously meant for another thing. But can you talk about that project? I'm just
Yeah,
really
for sure.
curious.
So that was my friend Taylor was I don't know what exactly her role was, but it was a pretty big, like, she was helping organize and run this organization called the Menstrual Mission, and basically they uh, collect donations and make like little goodie bags or packages to give out to women and people who have a period that need these um, you know, pads and
Supplies.
tampons,
Mhm.
supplies, thank you.
Yeah.
And so this was I made the little graphics, right, just for kind of like, I don't know, just for fun. I was like, if you wanna use this, you can totally use it because I was just learning how to animate at the time. I think that was, like,
Oh.
one of the very early on animations that I made, and um, yeah, I think they're located in DC, but I'm sure they take donations from anywhere really, but
Mhm.
yeah,
Well, it was
um,
just very cool to see that because I was like, "Oh, that's something we're doing," and you animated a
yeah,
tampon, and that's so cool.
thank
Um,
you, yeah. I tried to use she gave me a couple of phrases that they were using for their social media, and so then I tried to incorporate, anything I could that they could use for it.
so are you, somebody that if, like, a filmmaker is looking for graphics, they could hire you as somebody yeah, so that's sort of
Yes,
to put
definitely.
out into the world as well.
Mhm.
Um, as just for my own curiosity, what do you use to animate now? Like, what
Um,
program like, what's your I'm always interested in the tech that people use.
y yeah, so the tampon and pad animation, that was on Photoshop. I just, like, didn't even know that you could do that until my friend told me, and that's how I started, and then now I use After Effects mostly. I think my animation teacher was like, I would spend so long on the Photoshop animations just because that program is not meant for animating, but I
No.
made it work somehow, and so he was like, "Anyone that uses Photoshop is just an amateur," and I was like, "Oh." I was like, "I thought these were so good, what?" And so then but
Dude,
he obviously
professors
didn't.
are the worst.
Oh my god, he had no idea that, like, I was doing that, and so then I showed him, he's like, "Mhm." I was just like, "No," like, I was so upset, and then I took his After Effects class, and I was just like, "Okay, I kinda get where he was coming from." I was like just because then I learned, like, the principles of animation and this and that, and that does not mean I'm not saying, like, if you use I disagree that if you use Photoshop, it's amateur, but I learned a lot about animation and what you can accomplish knowing more, like After Effects and stuff.
I think what you're saying too that's important is that, and then I just fucking hate this about professors, and I hear this all the time. If you're a creative human being and you're driven to make something, you're going to use what you have access to and what you're
Mhm.
comfortable with, and then you'll move on and you'll learn more. But to insult it is like, that I mean, you had to learn a lot to do what you did. That I mean, that takes
Definitely.
dedication, you know? And now you know, from, as we were talking earlier about mistakes or learning new ways of doing things, you can now see for yourself why something might be
Mhm.
easier rather than someone just coming up to you and saying, I don't think so, you know?
Yeah, totally.
Um,
Also, I know that I think it's kind of goes back to, with, like, you don't need to have a super billion-dollar fancy camera to make something like, to film something good or anything like that,
yeah.
and I remember following a couple of artists on Instagram, and they told me that they were using Photoshop, and I was like and this was after I learned After Effects, I was like, "You were doing that on Photoshop? Like, that's crazy." Like, so I think whatever you have access to, definitely use it in any way you can.
So you didn't call them an amateur.
No, I did not. No,
Amateur. It's what I hate
no.
about professors. It's like, once a lot of them, I'm not going to say all professors, there's a few good ones out there, but from when I was in college and talking to a lot of people, um, from like that have just recently graduated, they're so stuck in these ways of things that they are familiar with. And if there's anything that, even if it works, but they're not comfortable with, they feel like they don't have power anymore. So they don't want to give power. I feel like there's a whole thing about power and being a professor that is a whole other conversation. But um, I think students tend to run into, especially non-cis white men, uh, I think are scrutinized far more when it comes to technical work. I know Olivia, who works as a volunteer sometimes, who also has ADD, and we talk about it all the time, had a film professor who like gave her the shittiest camera, but then gave all the dudes in the class like the good camera, or like, you know, I just feel like there's this thing about where like this, it's just built into the old system that it's hard when you're in school. So you both have freed yourself of that and are doing your own thing. Um, so I guess the thing I'm wondering, Fern, did we? I don't know if you finished answering or I cut you off, because that is probably the what happened, because I'm good at that. What Where do you see Juice Girl as a like, where is Juice Girl? Is Juice Girl going to be a short? Or is it like just a fake trailer kind of thing? Or is it, what are you thinking?
Juice Girl, the trailer was me wrapping up what I had by the end of the semester and trying to like turn it into something so I would remember where I was.
You both are
And
literally in the same story.
it's college, man.
Yeah.
I hate it. And so then I put it away because the semester is over. But now I'm starting to like take that project back off the shelf. I also like have a literal place to live, so I can literally unpack the fucking project.
That's more important. You need a foundation first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know what it's gonna be. It's gonna be a video project. Probably a short. I don't know what it'll look like though. It's gonna look
Yeah.
probably very different from the trailer.
That's usually how it
Yeah.
goes too. And they may end up just being trailers too that launch something that will look inspired by it, but be totally different, like you said, you know. But
Totally.
both of you, I love so much the work that you're doing. And I really feel like I still can't get over the shock that you hadn't seen Attack of the Fifth. But like, to me, that's just like the biggest revelation of my life. But it also speaks to something so like the collective unconscious of society, if you want to get Jungian about it, I guess. But I'm not going to go into the philosophy and stuff from some dude. But what would you say you're not like now that you're you're both in a place where you're calling yourself, you're embracing your label as an artist. I think that we agreed that Fern, would you say that you are?
Begrudgingly, yes.
Why begrudgingly?
I don't know. I think it goes back to professors.
Yeah, well, you guys fuck those motherfuckers.
I had a professor who wouldn't let me call it a short film because I wasn't using film. It was gonna be a video. They're like, you're not making a
Okay.
film, you're making a video.
Okay.
She sucks. I mean,
Fuck that.
right?
What world do
yeah.
they live in? Do you know what I always like to say
very
to
wealthy
people like
world.
that? It's like it's like when digital video first came out, everyone was like, ooh, picture when film cameras were first invented. They were these massive things with a sheet over it, and then you had these big movie
They're pain
cameras.
in the ass.
And then what happens? You develop technology that makes it easier. And now we have magic in our hands. And any professor that wants you to spend hundreds of dollars on a thing that is just not necessary, unless you are specifically doing it as an artistic decision, like with, I think, Big Bitch, you had said.
I had all of my services paid for, and when I was looking at some of the I didn't mean to interrupt you,
No, you're
sorry.
not interrupting. You're good.
But when I was looking at some of the clients, like when I was an intern there, the bills were just huge. It was like so much money to get the film prepped and cleaned and digitized and this and that, and I was just like, I would never be able to do that, like, unless I was working there and they were offering the services for free, and the film and the camera. Like, all of it was just like I was very lucky, and so I was just like, well, I have the
Yeah.
opportunity to do it for free, and I probably will never do it again once I'm not interning here. But I totally agree that is so annoying because my professor would do the same exact thing. He'd be like, "It's not. You didn't shoot it on 35 millimeter film. It's not really a film. It's just
It's like how
a video.
Like, whoa, excuse us, we showed at a film festival, not a video festival?
yeah,
Yeah.
I would love to see what, like, even Sundance isn't showing films
Yeah.
that are on film. I mean, and the thing that's so crazy about it is it even goes further back to the inaccessibility of it as an art form for so long that if you weren't rich, and well, if you weren't a rich dude, I mean, who was already in connection with connections to Hollywood friends, I mean, who was going to be able to get their stories made and told? The average person could not do it physically. And so now that we have these tools, artists are able to actually have control over expressing themselves and creating content. And I think the older people of that other generation just don't get it, and they don't want to get it. And that's the key, is they don't want to get it, in my opinion, because then that makes them look unnecessary, or their knowledge is not up to
That's
standard.
true.
So sometimes I wonder if it does more harm than good to go to school for like film. And I know I'm not saying that if you went to school for film that I'm knocking that in any way, but I do wonder sometimes if in this day and age it's all just, it's different when you're getting your bachelor's. That's different. Like if you're getting it and you're focusing on something and it's like a liberal arts thing or animation, but just like those like film programs that are just focused on just film school, I feel like that's got to be really take a toll on your creativity.
I mean, I know that it did for me. My major or my degree is like film and media arts, but like sometimes I question, I'm just like, was that really the best decision? And because everyone now is like, oh, you could just learn that on YouTube and this and that. And I don't know. I definitely go back and forth, but I'm trying to like tell myself that I learned a lot and
Yeah.
like even though I think it kind of pushed my creativity in some ways, and I tried to look at it in a way where, like, the limitations that I had, where it was like a professor didn't like something that I did or something like that, like, I'm trying to look at it as a way where it's just furthering, but instead of
Yeah.
limiting me, it's like, "Okay, well, if I can't do this, then I'll find another way to do what I wanna do," you know?
Well, and also what is really important that I think college or stuff like that does give, which you can't get anywhere else, is a forced deadline that you have to meet, and
Mhm.
projects probably that wouldn't get done if you weren't in that environment. And the whole concept of knowing the rules to break them, but also I think the appeal for a lot of people is the connections and the networking of the other students. And I think that there is certainly benefit to it. So I'm not knocking that. I just definitely think there's room for progress, as we all probably do here. um, so I mean, yeah. So I've kept both of you for almost an hour now, and
Oh, wow.
I can't believe that. So I just I really want to thank you for letting me share these, not behind a paywall. And because I know that they're up now on Eventive as well, but um, we're not going to be having that for very long. And we're also not going to be putting things behind paywalls after that without, like, it's going to be all donation only and that kind of thing. So hopefully this channel will be a space where we can show original content. So if you have animations or new short videos that you guys make, or if you want to, ever share anything, I hope that this can be a home for cool networking and content by cool people like yourselves. So please, before I end this, if you could each just tell people, obviously people can just Google you, but really, like, where would you where would you like people to find you, and what might you want to say? Like, Nat, for example, you're open for hire.
Yep.
So I'll make sure to include that. But would you want people, like, do you want to, and then we'll add it in here, but just sort of give the rundown of how people can reach you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us. And I think the best way, you could either go on my Instagram, which is golden graphics, or I guess it's golden dot graphics and then underscore underscore, or
I'm gonna type it. Say it.
okay,
What is it? So it's
it's
at.
at, hold on, I have to double check. I don't even remember.
I think you have one of those ones that's like kind of complicated because it's like like.
Yeah, okay, so it's golden period graphics and then 2 underscores.
Golden graphics and then 2 underscores. Okay, I'm gonna show this on the screen,
Awesome.
and see if you tell me if this looks right.
Yeah, that's perfect. And
Okay.
then, or you could go on my website, natocello.com. And yeah, I'm open for anything really, animation or graphic
All right.
design, video editing, whatever.
Is that the correct? So I have it right there.
Perfect.
Awesome. All right, cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And then Fern, Fern footage. Are we talking
Oh, I
Fern footage?
suppose. Well, no, I can't get into that site right now because I lost my phone and I
Oh,
lost
that's
my
right.
two-factor authentication because I live for robots.
What,
So you
Instagram?
can't find me. Don't find me.
Don't find you.
Don't look for me. You can find me through the festival, or else I'll find y'all.
I think that is a fair answer. So that being said, thank you both, and I'm hoping that we can do a Quiplash Jackbox games with everybody before the end of the month. Maybe just I think that could be really fun to have creative people together doing that. So unless there's anything that I've left out that you want to promote, you are free to fly out of this mystical planet that I have invited you to. And yeah.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Go, you're gonna have to Big Bitch and Juice Girl. I really want to know what that would look like.
That would be awesome.
Fan fiction. If when people are watching this, send us some fan fiction or drawings of what you think, just without seeing Big Bitch or Juice Girl and ignoring what their films are. Just this title, what does this look like to you? We would love to see, and we will share it on here. That being said, thank you for joining. I'm gonna remove you guys from the line here and then show your stuff one more time as a way out. And then we will upload this to the lovely internets.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye, everybody. All right. So before